you have Storm Wizards not queuing and not happy with their school, and then they're incentivized to make another school to play their school when they picked Storm because they wanted to play Storm at the start of the game. It makes absolutely no sense, and it's horrible game design. Hello everybody, and welcome back to another video on the channel, and in today's video I have a commentary talking about school identity in Wizard101 and why it's in a really bad spot with the Wallaroo update. Now, most of my points in this video are going to be directed towards Storm and Fire, but I am aware other schools have a lot of, very small, minor issues with their identity as well. And a lot of my points are coming from the side of advanced content like PvP and raids, but mostly PvP. I've done a lot of 170 PvP. I've played every school many times. I've played a lot of Storm, a lot of Fire, and some Ice, and it is better than it was last meta, but that doesn't really mean much when we haven't got an update in about 5 months, which is just pitiful for 2023 gaming standards. So yeah, let's, just get into things right away here. Starting off with Fire. Okay, now Fire, I'd argue, went from like being the worst, if not the second worst school, to like top 4. I'd rank Fire probably number 4 in PvP right now as of this update, in my opinion, and I'll be making a tier list on that a little bit down the line. I think Fire got a lot better. However, that doesn't mean Fire is good for the right reasons. For example, Efreet doesn't follow the Rochambeau rules, right? Fire should be good because dots are good, right? Because that's the whole premise of Fire, is you're a damage over time school, right? But that's not the thing. The way you win on a Fire right now is either by clicking Elephant, right? Or you just spam TC hits like Everburn, which is above DPP, I think. Again, like a Freet, Immolate. You might set up a Gambit with like a Jin or a Fire Elf Scion, which I guess is about as far as it goes. But my issue here with the school identity is the fact that maybe Fire isn't bad, right? With its dots and stuff like that. The issue is other schools have better dot play and are just better than Fire, right? And that's a lot of my point in this video, is essentially saying, why would you ever pick a Storm or Fire when you can pick a Death, when you can pick a Myth, even in, not really in Ice, but why would you pick Storm or Fire when there's Death and Myth in the game, right? If you can just Poison or like Skeletal Dragon even, but mostly Poison, why would you pick Fire? Fire can't Poison. You don't have a good low pip dot like that does crazy damage, or Frostbite. You don't have that on a Fire. So a lot of these times, like in the Death versus Fire matchup, the only reason the Fire is losing is simply because that one card, Poison, which isn't, again, following the Rochambeau rules. Death is not an overtime school, right? That's, what is it, Fire, Myth, and I think Life or OT schools in terms of the Rochambeau. So why does Death have a top tier, S tier overtime card that is spammable that the overtime school doesn't, right? Doesn't make any sense. And when that's the reason that Fire loses that matchup, you see why there's a lot of problems. Like, why at that point am I going to play a Fire if I can just play a Death that has better stats, a better Shad, better Gambits, better overtimes, right? Better cards like Ghoul Vampire, right? A free Shield Gambit as well, right? Just why would you play Fire when you can play Death? It just does everything better. So that's essentially my whole point of the video. Or like you look at Storm, for example, right now, right? Storm is still the worst school at 170, and I'm not going to recommend playing it because it's still unplayable. You can still play better and lose. But there's a lot of problems with Storm, right? It goes down to the game design philosophy that is flawed from KingsIsle that indirectly makes Storm the worst school. There's a lot of other things, right? Shield Gambits, they hurt Storm the most, and they're meta, right? But mostly, it's because Life, Myth, and Death can just simply play Storm better than Storm. Now, I mean this both literally in like a dual school aspect and stat aspect. And I also mean this in the context of Death and Myth can simply play more aggressive than Storm because their cards enable them to. They have better cards. They can tank more. They don't give up any damage or pierce to be hitting like a Storm, right? Which, again, all of these things actually weigh down on Storm itself and make it bad. So then you boil it down, right? And the only thing a Storm actually has are the shadow cards like Rasulka and Dark and Stormy, right? Now, Rasulka doesn't matter because, again, the current game design philosophy from King's Hall. So, sure, it might be an okay card, you know, a decent shad, right? But the game design philosophy of King's Hall contradicts that whole argument and makes this card obsolete. Look at Dark and Stormy, right? This card got nerfed when nobody was complaining about this, right? Everybody was complaining about Resist, Jading, Set Resist, Vampire, Myth, Shield Gambits, threefold spam, trap spam. But what do? They randomly nerf Dark and Stormy, right? Storms can't win. You want them to heal the win, then you nerf the healing when the healing doesn't already work because there's too much damage for every school in the game right now, right? Like I said, many times ever since Storm got the whole healing identity, you cannot heal when you're dead, right? If I bury, but then I get hit for 14k or 9k, then like another 3k, that healing doesn't matter. And I can't leverage the heal to like Gambit because my cards are so shit on this school that they don't enable me to do that. So what you're seeing people do is, like I said, you'll play a Life, a Myth, or a Death, and you'll just literally drop your whole school, have better stats than a Storm, but hit as hard as them, and then you'll just win. And then you can ignore broken things like Banshee, like Vampire in the meta, which again further enables the cosplaying playstyle in the meta, which is extremely unhealthy because then you have Storm Wizards not queuing and not happy with their school, and then they're incentivized to make another school to play their school when they picked Storm because they wanted to play Storm at the start of the game. It makes absolutely no sense, and it's horrible game design. And I've been talking about how bad this school is for a year and a half. I don't want to make this a whole video being like buff Storm and shit. I don't want that, you know? I don't want that. I think Storm and Fire are not bad schools, like maybe Storm, but anyways, I don't think they're bad schools. It's just the fact of the matter that other schools do what Storm and Fire do, but they do them better, right? For example, why play a Storm when I can dual school it on Death, Myth, or Life? Or I can just play Myth, Death, or Balance and just hit better than a Storm with better cards, with their damage and stats, right? Or Fire. Why would I play Fire when I can just simply poison on a Death, right? Like, I got a bladed poison. 2 bladed poisons did half of my health when I was on my Fire. Like, that's just, like, that's stupid. That's insane, bro. That's insane. Like, I would get it if there's, like, a dragon or something, but it's a freaking poison. It's a spammable 4-pip good card that does not follow the identity, you know? So, I don't know, guys. There's a lot of issues with 170 PvP, and like I said, I cannot recommend Storm. If you guys hate yourself and you love torturing yourself, that sounds horrible, play Storm. That's all I can recommend, bro. Because when you think about what makes Storm good, and like in general, you're simply like, okay, but why would I just not pick a Death? Why would I not pick a Myth? Why would I not do that on a Life? Right? And that's what you're seeing right now in the meta. People just completely don't play Storm and hop on a different school to play Storm better. And I think we're going to see the same thing with Fire, right? I like Fire right now. It's a lot of fun, but I cannot take the game seriously when that poison is just simply a better overtime. I just can't, bro. So I think some solutions that King's Hall could do here, I mean, honestly, I think it's simple. Just follow your own rules, you know? Now, I know that sounds like, you know, kind of apparent and simple, but there's a bunch of little problems in the game, guys. Like, we have legacy cards, right? A lot of these things are legacy cards, like Frostbite, like Poison, like Enfeeble, like Snowdrift, like Shift, right? These cards aren't banned, but they're banned for some schools, right? You could take Storm, for example, right? Storm lost into Feeble, which makes sense. I'm not supposed to be countering Blades on a Storm, right? That makes sense. But then every other school doesn't get equal bans. Like, they don't standardize these things, which is a huge problem. So I think what they need to do is enforce their own rules. If Death is not an overtime school, they should not have cards like Black Widow, Poison, Dragon. Ice should not have Frostbite either for that regard. I know Ice is kind of like not good without Frostbite, but if we're going to be trying to make a competitive, balanced game here, we need to start following our own rules and just stop being like, oh, let's randomly nerf Dark and Stormy. Let's take away Enfeeble, but leave Shift and Snowdrift, and I don't know what else there is for legacy cards. Like Frostbite and Poison, let's leave that stuff. Like, it doesn't make any sense. So I just really think it comes down to them not understanding how the game is played and how interactions work in terms of stats. I think that's a big problem that affects Storm the most in the game right now. And then I think the other issue with Fire is simply other schools can do what Fire can do, but better generally, right? Simply just because like Poison and Frostbite, I guess Myth has some good OTs too, but not that amazing. But Fire's not that bad right now. But I'm just saying those schools make Fire obsolete, and if you have that stuff, why would you pick a Fire when you could pick a Death, right? So I think they need to do a better job with stats in terms of Storm. I think they need to follow their own rules and standardize things like, you know, Poison needs to go, Bite needs to go, Snowdrift needs to go, Shift needs to go, right? Enfeeble's gone, which is good, right? For Storm. I don't know what else there is for legacy cards, right? I think we need to start following our own rules because Rochambeau has been here for like, what, almost 2 years now? And I feel like a lot of things still don't make sense. Really sad because I really like PvP. I had a lot of fun for a couple of days at the start of this new season, 170. But I'm just not going to play Storm until they actually like update the game. Like, I might do it if I get like gifted subs or like a fat dono, but like I can't play my favorite school because it's unplayable and it's unfun and it's just not fair. So it's extremely disappointing, but I'll be playing other games and uploading other schools on the channel for now. And let me know what you guys think about the stuff in the comments below. I know a lot of the Rochambeau legacy card gets people like very emotional and upset, which might be why KingStyle doesn't really want to touch them. But if you want to make a balanced competitive game, you cannot take some things from some schools and then not from others. Like, you need to at the very least standardize things and follow your own rules to at least have the game make sense. Because there's no identity right now and nothing makes any sense. And then you have certain schools being good for the wrong reasons, i.e. Death being a better overtime school than Fire right now, right? Or Myth being a better Storm, or Death being a better Storm, or Life being a better Storm, right? Or shit, even Balance. I saw Balance being a better Storm. Like, there's so many issues with it. But that's everything I gotta say for the video. I know it's probably a bit more ranty and negative than usual, but I have to make this video because, again, this stuff needs to be said in the community, and I want the game to be good. And this is just huge problems that need to be addressed and updated in the game. I will see you guys later. Rate, comment, and subscribe, and take care, guys.